Prepare to set fire to the index card of Cattle Nigger Opinion. This is the Friday Night Chat, episode 78. We're an open panel chat. Please join if you have anything to add to the conversation or want to call us fucking retards. Let's go to the internal chat first. Iron Man Australia, opening thoughts?
Today on the Irregulars, Kim Fat Boy Un versus Donald the Trumpinator. Get ready for a world-class showdown of nuclear proportions as we see who can talk the most crap and do absolutely nothing about it. So keep that dial locked to the first Irregulars to see the blow-by-blow, live, heart-stopping action.
All right. Rick, any opening thoughts?
Yeah, tonight we're here to bring you the most high-energy, off-the-wall opinion you can expect from Brit Bongistan. We've got stories of rape, we've got acid attacks, and we've got many more things in the stack. So hold on to your foreskin, we're going in deep.
Front row ticket to the circus, eh?
Yay.
Risky McDanger, opening statements, man.
As I walk through the chambers of the showers of death, I take a look at the kikes and realize there's many left, because I've been gassing and laughing so long that even Maruki thinks that my mind is gone.
I know that feeling. Zach.
Yeah, we just we got ourselves a high energy show here, brothers.
Certainly. So I think the first thing we can get into, everybody here in the States is talking about the Google firing, where a Google employee was fired for basically criticizing diversity quotas.
Well, you
A
got
Skype was fired by Google, so to speak.
Oh, no.
He got fired, though, for saying the truth. That's all that document was, if you read it line for line.
Yeah, it's basically just arguing for meritocracy, it seems, and he honestly seemed to be trying to solve the problem, right? He's assuming, okay, we need more women to come in here. Let's appeal to them, not just bring them in here if they don't have skill. Let's appeal to the few good ones.
This is something I was talking about before, like about how truth can't be hidden. 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. Even if you convince the the Orwellian party could convince everyone it's 5, someone's going to go, hey, hang on. And this is a good example of that, right? This fucking guy, he probably wasn't really clued into how it was going to be received. He was kind of like, hey, we could sort of improve things around here by, recognizing this. And then he was shocked when he spoke the truth, wanted to open up a discussion and got hellfire rained on him, right? I mean, it's like if you were born into a theocracy, right, where everyone fucking believes in some Catholic bullshit or something, and then you say, hey, maybe the Earth is round or something like that, and you're just shocked at the reaction you get.
Yeah, I've experienced that personally, as far as when you just try to live based on the truth, right, and you try to bring forward the truth the best you can, and then you touch on these touchy subjects, and some of them you wouldn't believe that people would be so upset that you would question or, criticize it.
But he even said, though, didn't he, though? They said even though they encourage an environment that, what do they say now, fosters equality and diversity, it said they don't accept yours. You know what I mean? So his particular views, he weren't being racist or anything. He was just stating fact. He weren't being misogynistic. He was just saying, like, well, shouldn't women be getting there under their own merits rather than because they've not got a dick? But apparently no Google isn't tolerant of his beliefs.
Last I heard, he was suing the shit out of him.
Of course.
I'm glad someone's finally fucking done it, though, because how many years has that corporation been running now? Fucking quite a while. And this is the first time in all the... I mean, it's not a recent thing, diversity. It's been going on for years. So it's fucking long for finally someone to blow the whistle. So salute there, sir, whoever did it.
Well, it's kind of this problem with, these people learn this stuff at college, right? And then they'll go market themselves to these companies as, it'll look good if you have a department of diversity or human resource. They get human resources jobs, and they just they bring this kind of cancerous like nonsense they learned in college to the workforce, right? Where if you're saying that like things should be meritocratic, oh my God, we have to fire him now. That's a bigot, you know? And the idea that there ain't going to be a pushback to it is kind of taken for granted by these people. And it's astonishing to me they don't think that people are going to get tired of their nonsense.
Because like he was saying, though, it's the cost of equality and the cost of diversity that's happening. And they apparently think that, like, you know, there isn't a cost to this. And yet he was saying, like, if the company wants to keep going forward, they're going to have to play along with reality. Not this fake one.
Even if you're a leftist, right, and believe in the diversity and stuff, don't you think it's a little crazy that Google actually cares about it? Don't you think that it's a little crazy that they aren't just trying to make money by thinking, oh, well, if I do this, then the leftists won't, you know, beat me with their stick, right? I won't get, you know, lambasted by the media or whatever.
Well, that's what happens when you get ideologues into your organizations.
Actually, it goes deeper than that. And this is something I was talking about the other week, which is, this is a great fucking example of. So I've talked about this Russian guy, Ichak Adizes, right? And he's a fucking efficiency expert, goes into companies, helps them fucking with their problems. And, you know, I'm not fucking advocating, endorsing the fucking guy. I don't know how good he is. But he came up with this really good concept. And he also deals with fucking governments and shit. And he's aware of, he's pretty based when it comes to, like, you know, the Russian fucking USSR and all this kind of shit that happened, being in that area. So he's come up with this idea of, you know, corporations, companies go through a life cycle where they grow and they live and they die. It happens. And there's two major components to it. So he's got this whole life cycle thing, but the second component to it is there's 4 different types of people, like 4 basic sort of personalities. And so the first one is performer. So you got action-oriented people, right? And the good thing about them is they get shit done. The bad thing about them is they work hard, not smart, right? So fucking the fuck paperwork, fuck dotting the I's, slashing the T's, all this kind of shit, right? So when the company's young, right, you need people like that, right? You don't want people like making pretty charts and all this kind of crap, right? And fucking when there's nothing to chart. And you got like a second one's administrators, and they're the pretty paperwork people. But you know, you fucking need bean counters. At some point, you need to get organized. You need to fucking have systems, right? You can't just fucking remember shit and fucking have a big company. You get all these bottlenecks, right? Third one's entrepreneur, which is like creative people, ideas guys. A good thing about them is you need fucking new ideas. You need fucking long-term thinking, that kind of thing. Bad thing is they're airy-fairy. They build castles in the air. They're always on to the next idea instead of fucking focusing on what they're doing, right? But the fourth one is integrators, right? And these are people persons, right? And they can grease the wheels, you know, owe favors to fucking other people, get, you know someone in a different company who can fucking supply shit to them and fucking get priority, this kind of thing. But the bad thing about them is they can throw a spanner in the works. Shut up, KK. And so that they can throw a spanner in the works because they want everyone to be happy and get along and all this bullshit, right? So when these people take over the company, that's when the company starts to fucking suffer these kind of problems and die. You get this oppressive Orwellian fucking environment, right? So like, you know, if the administrators take over the company, which happens like right at the end, you got to do your paperwork right. You got to fucking, you know, governments fucking organizations degenerate into this really quickly. You got to do all your fucking paperwork and all your bullshit. It doesn't matter fucking about production. It just matters like whether you did the paperwork correctly, right? Bureaucratic bullshit, right? But before that stage, you got this aristocratic stage where people, it doesn't matter fucking what you're doing or what profits and all this kind of shit. It's like, who did you upset? Fucking who do you know? All this kind of crap. And this is exactly this fucking environment that he talks about. Go on ahead with your bullshit that is coming. You may speak. You have my permission.
I forgot.
Okay, yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
No, I actually, I didn't see where he was going with that. I was interrupting before I heard. I didn't even know what he's arguing. I just jumped in, but I heard he's talking about. I was going to ask, how do you achieve this specialization? Because what he's actually talking about is specialization, and it knows no ends, right? The fact that you have all these types of people taking on these.
No, I'm saying people are naturally like that. Their natural personality is they'll come in and they'll go, oh, fuck all the paperwork. I just want to fucking go out and sell, right?
Well,
and that's great.
The only reason why they can do that is because of diversity.
Yeah, I know, but like it's fucking like there's advantage. Like I just went through, there's an advantage to each of these people, and there's a disadvantage, right? If you let the disadvantage, if you let one set of people take over the whole system, like at the wrong time, basically they'll turn it into a shit show. That's
what's
his
happening
major
at Google with these
observation.
women taking over, and not hiring people based on like their merit and just hiring based on. Yeah.
And women are disproportionately these integrated types that all they care about is fucking they're people persons, right? So like you get a few, not all women are, blah, blah, right? But like they'll fucking, all they care about is, did everyone go home happy today? Right? And like, did we make 1,000 widgets like we're planning to? Oh, we made 2, but everyone's happy and we had a good time, right? Fuck that shit. And you get that with sports teams with men, right? Like they fucking care about, oh, we're all chummy and all this kind of shit, but they don't care about the fucking game.
Are you guys bitching about that? So you guys bitching about that? I don't see the problem though, because
you don't see the problem?
No, it's their money. They're making themselves less efficient by doing that. What are you bitching about?
Yeah, and that's why companies grow and die. That's okay. Yeah.
There you go. So are you bitching about it, or?
I mean,
they
we're bringing it up.
They haven't even got to that bit yet.
They fired.
You're just making fun of the strategy itself.
No, you can say like Tom Woods points this out, right? Like every time he says fucking I disagree with something some company did, oh, they're a private company, they got the fucking right to do it. Yeah, okay. But he can still disagree with it and say, especially if you're part of that company, right? Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Like if you're a customer, you can say, I don't like new Coke, right? Fuck that. Fucking go back to the old Coke. This kind of thing.
And as well,
right?
Google.
It's not like
Google as well, if you think about it, it's something that a lot of us use on a day-to-day basis. So example, like at that top of the screen usually, and I don't know what it is today, but usually it's some multicultural nonsense bollocks. So in a sense, it's like, right, does this actual service I'm using, does it actually reflect
but that's high time preference.
Well,
I mean, if Google collapses, something better will come along.
Exactly, right? So, but in the meantime, it's going to suck.
Yeah, but you're having high time preference, right? I mean, you'd rather get to the point where we get to that good point, to get to that optimal.
We're not endorsing or anything like that. That this is why companies go down.
Yeah, I mean, they fired this guy for simply criticizing his, the retarded shit they're doing in the company when he was actually trying to make the company better.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was doing.
That's the problem.
I don't know. I don't read. So
that's whether he's right or not. That's whether he's correct or not.
I've been seeing this thing where this guy got fired from Google or something. Is that what this is about? I don't even know what he did.
There's been people coming out and saying, Google's should be classified as a public utility and all this. I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
like Campbell was saying that shit fucking like a couple of years ago. And it's kind of like, no, fuck that shit. Because when the next thing comes along, Google collapses or fucking something comes along that's better, and it's like freer, then they're going to try and turn that into a utility like all the fucking commies are, right? No, fuck.
Yeah, I don't want to like increase dramatically the regulation they undergo.
Why not?
I think that will result in a less, like I said,
but a longer state duration though. Again, you're not taking into account all the costs and benefits.
Well, I'm not trying to.
You're looking only at the short term.
Regulating the
hey, look, we get a cooler search engine or whatever operating system if you're running that on Android or whatever. So what? It delays the optimal stuff, right?
Oh, you got a simulation theory about this?
I'm not trying to abolish the state through regulating Google.
What we're saying is Google is acting just as they accuse us of being an echo chamber. And they're that bad at being an echo chamber that they fire people who disagree with them. So in a sense,
you should celebrate.
I understand the arguments you're all saying about cost benefit.
Celebrate that. You're celebrating, right?
Yeah, but this is the thing. If supposedly diversity is our strength and we need different ideas to trundle on forward, why are these... Considering the arguments this guy were making, he's saying it's not actually going to be business efficient to be like this. He says when you've literally got a team of yes men, he says, example, like a business direction. If everyone's saying, yeah, that'll work, when in reality, well, no one in the room's actually basing this on facts, then the business isn't going to work. So if Google itself wants to be, part of the future, then they're going to have to change, was one of the arguments he were making. But
the good thing is that they will probably collapse themselves by doing this. They're most likely going to fail, and then we can use that as an example of, hey, it doesn't work.
I don't know.
It's
until
not even
maybe
it's not even that.
maybe
Because people like years
blockchain.
ago, people said McDonald's was going to fucking be a minor player compared to fucking other burger chains or something like that. They wouldn't be able to see it, right? They go, oh no, they're just too big and powerful and all this kind of thing, right? So it's the same with Google now, but it doesn't even have to collapse, right? Like for other things to succeed. And if you've got like like I've talked about this library thing, where it's like a fucking open source, a free fucking protocol, right? Like if that comes along and that does better, YouTube will still have cat videos and shit. They'll still be fucking, the normies will still be using YouTube. It's not like it doesn't have to collapse and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, because half of YouTube is the content suppliers, and if you're scaring them off, right? I mean, there's only so much people are willing to do to provide cat videos when you can. I mean, it's going to be free on the. It's going to be all free.
It's going to be
without
profitable for some
advertising
people
on
to do
blockchain.
that. It's going to be profitable for some people to do that, like for a while to come. So,
Yeah, but
like, you don't go, they're going to collapse tomorrow, ha 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 ha.
The open
It's gonna
source,
look like an idiot.
the open source blockchain can handle providing that too, probably.
Of course it can, right? But like, that doesn't mean everyone's going to jump off YouTube right at the fucking at one
No.
particular time.
Yeah, of course it'll take time. With like the old people are usually the slowest to fucking move over. Like
So you have a combination of those two systems, right? For a while, and then fucking maybe the other one take over.
It's dead. It's effectively dead, just like newspapers. Took fucking 10 years until those old people started really buying.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that's true. I mean, you turn on like any of the major news networks, all the ads are for catheters and walk-in showers and shit.
Who cares? Oh, it's because, well, I don't know.
Because the
We have a lot of
average
spending
people
power.
watching it are 70 years old.
Yeah, depends.
They're
if
all
they're-
geared towards them.
Well, only certain demographics.
I mean, I'm not that optimistic that Google's going to, go into the sunset and fuck up. I don't think so, because, I mean, all right, we're all aware of it, and there's probably a lot of other people out there who are aware of it. But unless this becomes like a big, like, Supreme Court case or something in the spotlight, I still think there are people using their service. So I'm not as optimistic as you gents on that one.
Yeah, no, but the internal company is what I'm saying is at danger, right? Like, if you put these women in charge, they could take a completely successful company that's earning millions of dollars and squander all of its resources and fuck it up.
And commies generally do that, right? Like you go and build something, and then they go, "Hey, we should have part ownership in that, or we should have a say in that," and fucking like they end up fucking it over, right?
Because the next thing will be, they'll start dealing with like Google's fucking search engine, right? So if you search for this, like, well, we need to block this because that's bad, and then, well, this is misogynistic, so we need to ban this, and then we need to, bring these views above the other ones and deal with the like they'll literally fuck their service over and not think anything of it because they're not builders. They're kind of there as a,
Yeah, if you went to actually build something like that from the ground up, like you said, I'm going to make Pinko.com the search engine, right? And it's going to have all nice shit on it and fucking and all that. Like no one would use it. So that's why they got to go to something that's already built and start fucking with it.
Yeah.
Same as I say about the healthcare system, right? Like Michael Moore and some of his buddies could have got together and fucking build this. Obama was saying this is going to be better, cheaper, and fucking Obamacare is going to be like all these things. Oh, well, that would succeed in a fucking free market. So go and do it, and then everyone's going to sign up because it's cheaper and better, and the doctors are fucking think it's better, and everyone loves it. But they don't want to do it that way because somewhere deep down they know that it doesn't fucking work. Oh, and
Yeah.
communism only works when everyone signs up, right? Like, it only works when you get force everyone to fucking sign up. You can't do it like have a little commune where fucking it works. Like, because those evil capitalists, those external forces that they make will fuck us over like Venezuela. It's like those evil capitalists in the US that are causing that problem. It's not them.
Yeah,
It's those
I'm curious.
YouTube people with divergent views from ours. Oh dear.
I'm curious of Google's profit margins. I mean, I know they make a good deal of money, of course, but like YouTube, I'm under the understanding they don't even make a profit with YouTube. I'm curious how easy it would be to fuck it up.
Well, if the government said, "Hey, you could be our propaganda arm, and we'll pay you in fucking tax dollars," that'd be a way to make it profitable, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Is this all because you guys are bitching about monetization or something?
What?
I'm not.
What do you mean?
Like also blocking alt-right views is a double positive for an accelerationist.
Not in our case, it wouldn't be, because the demographics are that slim, the margin, that if we all get showed and the alt-right or any nationalist views are stifled, then we're not going to get that critical mass awakening. I mean, in any situation, you'll get people resisting it, but there won't be the ability to network with others. That's one of the dangers of just showing.
What are you trying to awaken people of?
Yeah, you kind of have to abandon the idea that you're going to force. It's like there's people who just want to watch cat videos, right? And you got to abandon the idea that they should have to have access to your shit. Like, it just forget about that. Like, if you have an open protocol, fucking that, they're not going to watch your shit anyway. They're not going to sit around watching nationalist fucking Pepe videos. Sorry.
Don't know what happened there.
Yeah, sorry,
All of
chap.
us-
Dropped out
All
then.
of us mobile fags got removed.
Sorry about that. I think, it's a call error at my end. Yeah. Well, KK, what were he saying now? He was saying what we're trying to awaken people to.
Yeah,
Our extinction. It's happening around us.
your extinction.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're facing. Well, ginger people, they're facing extinction in 100 years. There won't be any gingers left.
Do they have,
Thank fuck.
do they have an evolutionary disadvantage to like the sun or anything? Just curious. They seem like it.
Not in
What,
Europe.
No, they're going to evolutionary disadvantage because everyone hates them.
I think it's still
Daywalker.
disadvantage in Europe too. But your extinction, I think that's heavily exacerbated. It's
By
By
hyperbole.
what? Exacerbated by what?
By the fact that there's modern genetics. There's nothing to fucking worry about. The fuck
Yeah, well,
you guys worried about?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. In your
How
world,
will modern genetics mitigate
Number
that?
two, why do you want to preserve the white race anyway?
because it's worth preserving. Because that's
The
what
alternative is worse.
Yeah, that just begs the question.
The alternative's worse.
Yeah, that's
Because I hate niggas.
question. Just saying it's good or it's saying it's bad.
The alternative is worse.
it's the foundation of reality. It's the foundation of everything.
Because why not? Because we can. Like, what
Being
did you have for
Arab.
breakfast
Yeah,
this
what
morning?
I'm
Why did
actually
you eat that,
looking
not
for-
something else?
What I'm actually looking for is why is being white part of the perfect meta self? That's what I'm looking for. Why is it a causal factor?
Why
in
is being brown better?
It keeps me awake at
being-
nights thinking
Well,
about the meta self.
for one thing, the sun, right? Shields you from the sun. And if it's not a causal factor in intelligence, like you can
Yeah,
have.
but being an inbred Arab, that'll be way better, right?
No, inbred. There's some function to incest and inbreeding, right? The more perfect you are, the more inbreeding makes sense.
Oh boy, here we go.
No, it's
not
true.
even 20 minutes in.
Think about it. Incest and inbreeding is a mechanism of evolution to force you to evolve. That would be more relevant if you were more quote unquote imperfect, right? If you had a lot of flaws, I think it would be nature giving you some incentive to stop perpetuating yourself the way you are now, to mix your genes.
So you're saying we shouldn't breed with niggers? Is that what you're saying?
Uh,
There's
Not
a difference
necessarily,
between
but-
inbreeding and
You can say yes.
No, not specifically. Generally, not even generally. I mean, there are cases where I'll make the case where this white guy should interbreed with a black guy. So there should be some integration of the race.
A white guy should breed with a black guy. There's something wrong with this.
what?
skin color and race aren't really important in the long run. All you care about is high IQ.
So
Number
being-
two, and the
being an
existence of
Arab
low
is-
IQ
being
and
an
the
Arab
existence
is
of low
more
IQ
close
people
to the perfect
isn't
Metaself?
an opportunity
Is that what you're
cost
saying?
to high IQ. It's
You're
not a
saying-
rival. It's
You're saying that intermixing
not a
makes
rival
us
res-
closer to
environment.
the perfect Metaself?
Say it again.
Does
Say it
being
again.
Arab,
What's
right, is that closer to the perfect Metaself?
no? Neither is white.
Which one's
Neither
closer?
is being white. Neither.
Which one's closer?
Probably Arab, since I can think of one advantage of having darker skin. Because again, white skin isn't the causal factor in being intelligent. If it was, I would say white, but it isn't. So I can't say that. So you
'cause
can
Millie
provide-
Bobby-
I'm an ego-utilitarian accelerationist, right? So I think everyone should try ego-utilitarianism for like 5 minutes, and then they'll realize it's all bullshit.
yeah, but
and then I'll-
accelerationism
then it'll
only
be
works with bad ideas, right? Not good ones. Sorry.
you're approaching extinction. That's your problem, KK. Your
Doesn't
philosophy.
apply.
Thing is, KK, in your worldview, I could half understand it if, for instance, we had like, let's say, 500-year time frame, because like I'm sure we'd all like in 500 years' time, even if it is like Star Trek, well, that's just the way it is.
No.
But the problem is, we've not even got
Stop.
that leeway period.
Stop.
Where
Would
Don't
you
tell people to stop.
Would you stop relegating me to some long-term strategy? You kidding me?
Yeah, because you're
That's
there
what
saying
you're
like,
talking.
because you're saying, oh, like genetics, it's fine. The science will sort it out. It's like, if the demographics are correct the way we're viewing them, and some countries have 5 to 20
No,
years.
that's not even relevant. The genetics part was actually irrelevant to the latest points I was making. I know I made it, but it became irrelevant. I was talking about the causal factor of being white. Why do you want to perpetuate that part of the meta self?
Because it'll evolve the
Because
environment.
we've built up
If it's
genetic
not,
value
if it's
by
not a
calling
causal
our
factor of
underclasses.
your evolutionary,
we have less propensity
superiority.
to violence. We have higher IQs on average in the groups.
and
that are
that's
being
not
brought
because
in.
of being. That's not because of skin color.
I never
Hey.
said it did, retard. There's more to being
want you-
us than just
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but
Hey, KK, KK, what city are you in?
You have yet to provide me the causal factor of being white that will lead you to be superior.
Because we called our underclasses in the past, and
You did what? You did what?
we killed off our underclasses.
Yeah, that's stupid. Why are
You're getting
you?
emotional, KK.
Because
Emotions
we
are not
now
good
have a
for
No,
higher
I'm
thinking.
emotional on
IQ,
logically
a less
stupid
propensity
arguments.
for
Why
violence,
do you kill inferior people when they're just as willing
so
to
that they
trade with
don't
you?
breed,
No, it's not a rivalrous environment. It would only make sense
so
to
that
kill
you can
off-
increase your
It would
output
only make
per
no.
calorie.
Yeah, well, you would have to show that they're imposing an opportunity cost on smarter people by existing.
They were.
that's not
they
the
were
case.
imposing a
That is not the
opportunity
case.
cost of there being less intelligent people.
How's that an opportunity cost? How
There
how
being
does
less
their
intelligent
existence
people?
necessarily how does their existence necessarily mean less existence for smarter people?
Because if they would have bred, then they would have passed on their genes, which would not have had the same propensity
It
for
doesn't matter.
intelligence.
It doesn't matter, right? If you just look at let's just simply label this group smart genes, this group and let's say they're all inbred. I don't care. I don't give a shit. They're dumb genes, right? Killing off this group has no effect. It actually hurts the existence of smart people.
It did have an effect.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't have an effect.
Over generations, it reduced the
No,
amount of
not when you
people-
not
amount of
not when you look at
people.
not when you look at nominal numbers. It actually hurts you nominally. It hurts the existence of smart people nominally, not
How?
proportionally. Just do the simple thought experiment, right?
Hey, KK, what city are you in, KK?
San Diego.
Okay, dear Mr. Kim, I have the perfect nuclear target for you that will once and forever show the world the superiority of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Have you ever heard of San Diego?
That'd be
you-
fucking glorious.
Are you finished? Are you finished? I was making a good point here, and you sidetracked me with humor again. What was my
Because
point?
that's what white people do. Actually, we're discussing.
What was
that.
my Alex? I was telling you. I think I was addressing you.
Yes.
Was I saying?
What were you saying?
I got distracted.
You were saying that why would we cull our?
Yeah. Look. So
Why
you
did
go,
we do
you go
that?
through. I remember. So you go through the thought experiment, right? You see the nominal existence of your group. That means keep track of the existence of each of the members in this one, and it's worse off, right? it's actually worse off.
We're
than it
better
could
off
be.
now, though.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Like proportionally, your intelligence is better. What you've done is by killing off this group. Sure, the average IQ rises because
The average production too.
Yeah, but you're
Average
talking about
productivity.
average, but not nominal, but not. Actually, there's a case for no. There's actually a case for no. The average production, the average IQ does increase. The average production probably decreases. Definitely decreases because you lose specialization. You lose
'Cause what we
diversity,
did-
and hence
what we
you
did
lose specialization.
Was for
I thought we had
100
robots.
for
KK,
100 and
to deal with
so
all that.
years. We aggressively
You can have
killed
robots
off-
in a society with dumb people too.
We had the
Whatever you can
environment
have
that
in a
was
smart,
killing off
a just
people
smart
that
society,
didn't.
you can also implement in when you have both populations.
We
The
got him out
environment killed
Unless it's
people who
rivalrous.
did not
Unless
who
it's
did not
rivalrous.
think long term.
There's no need to kill off the other
And then on
population.
top of that, violent, criminals and dissidents were killed off aggressively for hundreds of years. And then we had a boom in our population. Now, the result of
That's a little
is
more
that-
select. That's a little more of a discriminating policy than just killing off an entire race.
Well, that's what happened. That's why we're different than the groups that didn't do that.
No, I think that was more because of the weather, external factors.
Well, I said
Harsh
that, right? The
winters.
weather made it so if you didn't think long term, you were going to die if you were a farmer.
Well, it doesn't matter. You guys are operating on
And
some
then culling the
vestige
underclass.
of dumb.
That's the reason. That's the difference between them and us, right?
Plus, as well, colder
We
skin.
built up.
You
genetic
don't
capital.
call them out
And you're
like,
making the
expending-
case that
because
it's
their
just skin
existence still
color,
benefits
and that's
you.
never anything I would say.
Say that again.
You were making the case that it was just because we like the idea of the skin color, and that is never something we made. I made. The
It doesn't matter. There's no other argument. There's no other argument.
Yeah, you dumb fucking
We've
nigga.
built up. The
There's
genetic
no
capital.
other argument you can validate.
We've built up genetic capital, and other people haven't.
Genetic capital. You keep using these weird, stupid words that don't make any sense.
Yeah, like
We've
ego-utilitarianism.
taken care
No,
of
that
our
makes perfect
genes, right?
Oh, nominal.
We've made sure that we bred.
Why?
Well,
what part of
we
your
didn't
genetic
inbreed.
code is important? What part of the white
Meta-self.
genetic code is important? Again, if it's not some
Intelligence,
causal
low
factor
propensity
that
for-
actually leads to some evolutionary advantage, there's no reason to favor it. You're just favoring just because
Why?
you're part
Why
of
do you give a fuck what evolution thinks?
because that's my moral ethic. That's the moral ethic of
Yeah,
evolution.
so you just decided that. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
we can go wipe out
No, it's
all the
pure
others,
rational.
right?
It's the most rational
right?
thing.
Then won't that be genetically advantage if we kill off
Say that
all
again, you
members?
talking about-
Necessarily.
If we kill off all members of other groups, wouldn't that be evolutionarily advantage
No,
for us? Why?
no.
Why?
Unless it's a zero-sum game with existence.
But if we make
Unless
it a
it's-
zero-sum
in
game,
other words,
it's
it's
an
a rival-
advantage.
What the
For
fuck
example,
are
what
you
if we killed all Filipinos? Would you have a problem with that?
Well, obviously, yes. If I believe my argument, not just for the fact that I'm Filipino.
If we killed
the-
off all competition, that would be evolutionarily
You're not
advantage.
competing again.
I've got it.
not
You
a
don't want to
zero-sum
kill
game.
niggas because you like
If
dick so much. That's
if
what
it's
it
a
is.
win-win scenario, killing them off makes you worse off, and that's an easy thing to prove.
Not evolutionarily.
Yeah, evolutionarily.
No, because we perpetuate our meta stuff. There's no competition for it.
What? You perpetuate yourself? Well,
He said,
right.
then we perpetuate our meta self. There's no competition for it. That's what he said.
No, I mean,
You said what? So I guess you didn't hear what he said.
no, but relative to the blacks, how so? I don't even see how you guys have a net advantage, right? Given when you
You
take
don't have
into
to listen to rap music.
when you take into account your population problem, when your nominal population problem, the fact that you don't reproducing. And,
I'm saying if we killed them,
That's only a
all,
problem
we
compared
wouldn't
to
have
other
to worry
people's
about it.
population rate.
oh, really? I don't even see how that's relevant to that issue.
Because we
I'm
we-
advocating for it,
in
but
fact, trying to kill them actually puts you in danger when they fight back.
not if we win.
Not even invoking the economic argument that you lose out on
Not
trading.
if we win.
Look, winning, quote unquote, winning is losing.
Yeah, but
No, it's just losing less than the other guy. That's winning.
Yeah, not in our, But we'll then be the winners, right? Evolutionarily, we'll be the.
Look. If it's true that being black is somewhat an evolutionary disadvantage, they're gonna go extinct anyway. There's no reason to accelerate that.
no, they're adapted to their environment. They're adapted to Africa. Likewise, the white man is adapted to the northern climes or Antarctica. So this was thinking, if there's no white man, how are we going to conquer Antarctica and make it this brilliant utopia? You know what I mean? So, well, it's true. That's why we've got. That's why black's
Doesn't
called
translate.
spunky. Ignores it.
It's. I'm sorry.
Very different older climes.
I'm retarded when it comes to accents.
You're retarded when it comes to everything. But like
Yeah.
you know, white people are more adaptable to fucking anything. Like you know, just see a black guy fucking getting to the North Pole first.
Why is that? What's the mechanism for that? Is it
Because we're
IQ?
fucking smart.
Because
We're
if
awesome.
it's IQ, it's not inherent to being white.
That's because we're just fucking awesome.
And
all
if it's
there
that,
is to it.
if that's the case, if you really want to call the population, you should call the population based on IQ test, like the Twilight Zone episode. Or was it Twilight Zone or another?
But that'll only perpetuate the meta self of high intelligence, KK.
and guess what? That has a more explanatory power of why that leads to the perfect meta self, and that's more a rational argument.
Yeah, but who
But
cares
I don't
about
even believe that
rationality?
because
I don't
again,
care
it's
about
not a it's not a rivalry.
We only care about
The
evolution.
thing that separates
so, like,
humans between other animals is that we've learned to trade, faggot. We've turned interaction with other things into being a win-win situation.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we
you've
don't-
learned how to
we don't want
trade.
win-win.
You guys gotta learn that, faggot.
You've learned how to trade
We don't want
currency
the
for
win-win.
black dick, but you know that doesn't really necessarily mean your point is correct.
There's no substance there. It's just fine. But if you
I
want
mean,
to put the truth-
evolutionarily, right? Like, you know, if we want this meta self to exist, if it wins, right, and it's won evolutionarily, and it doesn't
No,
give a fuck about your like total.
but you're not even
hypothetical
considering the
production in
alternative strategy of allowing them pursuing just allowing them to live and trading with them and seeing the net result at any point in time, comparing it to what you're talking about. It's better than that.
But they can't
So-
live in trade. A lot of people are incapable of fucking trade because
So-
they're too retarded to
what's
fucking
wrong
see the
with-
advantage of it. So you got to wipe them
The
out
whole
so they don't
reason
fucking
for-
like cause a problem for you.
Say that again, faggot.
No, you go back and listen to it in the recording and see how fucking wrong you were.
What if they become better in the future, KK?
Well, maybe it's because there's some advantage to it being darker. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like maybe there is, right? So we got to take
So
it
then,
down.
if you adopt ego utilitarianism to utilitarian, you applaud that.
That's what this is
Yeah,
all
but,
about.
I mean, evolution.
You don't just emotionally favor your in-group
Well,
just
evolution
because you're
doesn't
part
care
of
about
it.
your
You don't
emotions.
just emotionally favor. You don't get emotional and favor.
Evolution doesn't
Yeah.
care about your trading thing, right? If a win lose can be done, then that's just as valid if it can be pulled off.
You'd have to prove that was the case, though. But the fact that economics already proves that trading with inferior people is beneficial to both parties. The fact that it encourages specialists,
Unless they're fucking you over, in which case, like, you know, you can't trade with fucking thieves, for example, right? So your highwayman fucking
fine,
doesn't want to trade with you, so you shoot him
Fine, shoot all the thieves, but why are you shooting all black people?
because they're thieves. They're
They're
all
only
thieves. 100%.
when the percentage of them being thieves is probably at most 10%.
Genetically, they're thieves. Like, you know, all of them. Every single one. 100%.
Yeah, it's like pikeys. How there's two kinds of them. There's ones with small hands for picking wallets, and then there's ones with big hands for spinning waltzers. That's task.
Well, what's there? We need to calculate all of the money that we, you know, in time we'd spend like dealing with all their issues versus the amount of
And
like,
that's very little.
productivity they have. It's very
Again,
little.
Again, that's very little.
Yeah.
When you remove drug-related crimes, oh, Jesus, you don't even have any case.
Well, they're all
Yeah.
druggos, too.
And then when you add my reputation system in the mix, forget about it.
Yeah, well, evolution doesn't care about win-win scenarios, dude.
Okay.
When a win-lose can be pulled off.
That's of course it does. That's the definition of the perfect meta self. That's the driving forces to creating the perfect meta self. Win-win situation. When you have two descriptors that complement each other, they'll naturally gravitate to each other.
But if
Now
you
we get to
can-
the meat of the matter, right? Complement each other. For example, like moving on, there's like a story in Australia where some kikes tried to build a synagogue and fucking the government denied them a target for Muslims. So it's like this not in my neighborhood fucking thing, not in my backyard, right? And the kikes are fucking going nuts, right? And it's like, so it comes down to, would you rather, like, even if it's a flaw in white society to be that scared of fucking Muslim shit. Are you better off having kikes or saying fuck off Muslims, right? That's a bit of a hard question, actually, considering we're talking about kikes. But like, at least you can gas them later if they become a problem. So
I don't understand all the.
They don't complement. You just said they got to complement each other. They don't complement each other.
Your huge anti-Semitic sentiment. I mean, I'm curious. So, what about the Jewish culture?
No, I'm saying there's obviously a complementary problem there. If they can't build synagogues, and so like fuck their religion, right? And Muslims, because they're fucking Muslims and their fucking religion. So like fuck Muslims, keep Muslims out. It's probably the way to go.
I don't care about that.
What's the advantage of getting in a whole bunch of fucking Muslims? Nothing. They build their mosques and fucking 5 times a day. Who gives a fuck about that? They didn't fucking do anything.
I'm just wondering. So you guys feel it's some rivalrous game.
And kikes have got a fucking higher IQ and they get Nobel prizes. And these fuckers, like, even if you got millions more of them, don't fucking do shit.
So what I'm trying to get at is, obviously you're trying to make it out of some rivalrous game against whites and Jews, right?
No, I'm saying if there's a flaw in white fucking society that fucking or Western systems, right, which allows this kind of shit to go on, there's obviously an incompatibility between fucking our society, Western society, and the fucking this Muslim crap. So fuck them. That's what I'm saying.
But not Jews.
Muslims and Jews hardly propel us forward onto the meta self, do they, KK, if they're being very regressive?
You faggots wouldn't even have military dominance without the Jews. Just remember, again, they created a nuclear bomb, the atomic bomb. What would you guys be? They chose you to have military dominance because.
Yeah, and currently the person with the most fucking nuclear bombs under his fingertip is Donald fucking Trump, right?
And guess why?
He can bomb the fucking Jews into
because
oblivion.
of the Jews.
Invent something and then fucking like white people fucking use it. This is what I've been talking about with fucking pizza, right?
So
the Chinese invented gunpowder, and who fucking invented the gun and fucking put bullets through their fucking head?
Using it is for dumb people, right? I mean, they could have just easily used it too.
You don't think that we would have come up with that had Einstein?
No, but the most important thing is who came up with it first in order to get global hegemony.
I think you missed.
It's not the most important thing.
I think the most important.
Yeah, it was. That's how we got the U.S. got de facto control of the entire world. Faggot.
Who provided this Jew the actual resources to build the atomic bomb? I think it's the United
States. Freedom.
Yeah, freedom.
Any idiot can do that. It's like asking, hey, look at a black person who cleaned Einstein's toilet. Where would he be if he had to clean his own toilet? Who gives a shit?
Yeah, well, that's what black people should be doing. Clean toilets.
That's replaceable. It's not even an argument, right?
Well, yeah, because in that Jew instance, like,
so they would have just came up with it first. It was just taking a longer time. Either way, they would have chosen somebody else.
The universe has some moral system where it gives a fuck who thought of it first.
Yes, it's called existence.
What? So, like, even your God evolution, right? Fucking didn't eyes will fucking come up in separate fucking evolutionary lines. And who rules the planet? We don't have the fucking best eyes in the fucking animal kingdom, and we kick ass. The fucking animals are way better fucking eyes than us.
Yeah, that's a stupid argument because that's not a controlled argument. It's not a controlled argument.
You were making the argument.
I have this multivariable function, right? And you claim this one variable's positive effect on it. I fucked with this variable, but I'm not going to tell you what I do with the other variables. And I get this.
You're getting emotional.
I get this contradictory outcome. Therefore, you're wrong.
You can't logic because you're getting all emotional. Okay. You're getting all emotional. You can't logic properly. Okay. Because your autism's coming out.
I mean, your argument was that, like, why do we want to perpetuate white skin? We cared all about. That's just one variable of our people.
No, okay. So. Then what's the other? What's the relevant variable then?
The fact that everything revolves around the fact.
Is it the shape of your head? Is it the shape of your lump of your head, or
the other options?
The phrenology. What is it? Tell me.
The other options are worse.
Oh, wait! You didn't answer my question, right? What element of white genetics would you want to perpetuate? Because
lower propensity,
100% of it. 100%.
Higher creativity.
Okay, crime. You don't think that is caused by the IQ? And IQ is not attached to genetics. I mean, not the white part of the genetics.
Oh, can you identify me? You know, you want to get like break it down and do like the what is the part of the white genetics then? Okay,
No, it correlates directly to skin color. Like if you don't get a tan, right, you start to feel like stealing shit. So it's skin color. That's all it is.
Look, faggot. Again, I don't have to bring up that same example. but
what is white genetics?
If I wanted to perpetuate ice cream eating just because it's positively correlated with wearing shorts, I don't want to perpetuate people wearing shorts. I can cut out the wearing shorts, the coincidental.
What the fuck have you got against ice cream, you fucking flip? Huh? It's a fucking great American product.
This is a perfect
Fuck
analogy.
you.
White genes are not the cause of high IQ.
Yeah, you want to piss someone off, just take their analogy.
Yes,
into
but they're
the-
interconnected.
Just like wearing shorts isn't the cause of eating ice cream. If I wanted to perpetuate eating ice cream, and then in another case I want to perpetuate high IQ,
But you
You just hate ice cream. You're an ice cream
I can
phobe.
necessarily remove just like I can necessarily remove just that whole ethic about wearing shorts and surgically extract,
Yeah, well, that's not an option to like surgically.
That
like,
is an option.
to
Faggot.
go in and just
Hang on. What
increase-
flavor
No,
ice cream
it's
are you
obvious.
talking about?
It's obvious, given the fact that there's high IQ people in each of the races. It's obvious it's not a causal factor. It's obvious there are other mechanisms that explain why you get these proportions. It's harsher environments. But again, you don't. So I
Okay,
think-
and so we need to take people from a better environment. That
So,
haven't
so you're
undergone that and
actually
then bring them
accelerating. You're actually there.
I'm thinking
You're
white people will break
accelerating
out the
their
whips
catch-up.
again.
Hey,
No, white people break out the
has
whips
never-
again, put the black people in a
has it ever
harsher
occurred to you,
environment,
Alex,
and they're going to
that-
in
has it ever
cotton
occurred to
fields,
you, Alex, that there
and
are
it's going to be better for them.
that there are unintended consequences to exterminating the black race? The fact that you're
Yes, I'm not
accelerating their
actually
evolution-
arguing for that. I was arguing that evolutionarily, like a win-lose could be of a benefit if you can pull it off.
Evolution.
No, faggot,
Evolutionarily.
you would have to prove there's no opportunity cost of a win-win.
No, not evolutionarily.
And the fact that the win on your side is, and you can't do that with trade. Again, that's what separates. This is where rights came from. This is where
do
sense
predators
of
not
rights came
exist in
from.
nature?
this is where the idea of
Do
rights.
predators not exist in nature? Do they seek out a win-win?
in other nature other than humans,
Do
does
parasites
there exist trade? Answer the fucking question, fag.
I guess yeah.
Do koalas go and trade with fucking?
KK, did you just call someone else a fag when you like chicks with dicks? Did that just happen?
Yeah,
Am I hearing things?
They've introduced currency to monkeys in experiments, and they begin to trade.
Inside of the monkey population, but
Yeah.
they are so emotionally attached to their in group that they probably are too scared to attempt to trade with other animals.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up.
Why does
I'd have
trade,
to see like if Coco.
So we've obviously crossed this threshold, right?
yeah, but why does trade revolve around in your world? Why do we need diversity for trade to work? Why can't trade? I mean, example,
Because
I've got no.
diversity is a causal factor in specialization, which is a causal factor in efficiency.
Yeah, but if we want things to be more efficient, right? The black is obviously more used to being in Africa. That's his environment. That's what he evolved in. So would it be not more? But no, but in a sense, if we're trying to strive for perfection here, wouldn't sending them back to Africa and then letting us actually trade with them properly
Yeah, it's
the
a
cream-
competitive advantage.
Yeah.
that way? Then no, I'm not saying it. I'm not bringing fur into this, but I'm just saying that would work better if we're evolved in a situation where colder environments suit the white man.
No, it's not. And
Well,
number
if
two, if it was, why don't you spend your own money and see how expensive it costs to do that?
Because that's not the way the world
Number
works
one,
right now.
number one, exporting all the existing black people in your desired geographical area, and number two, preventing anyone else from entering. See,
Oh yeah,
see
you
how
can
that
do
works
both
out
at
for
the
you.
same time. It's only the BMP.
No, that's not the case. That's obvious. That's obviously a childish attempt at trying to.
I'm willing to exterminate all the fucking niggers and see if you're right. You know, and if I'm wrong, whoops.
Yeah.
You got to
No,
break some eggs.
it's the fact that it's not their environment, right? It's the fact that they have a less harsher environment, right? Even when you take into account all the cheetahs and shit that are chasing them, right? It's a less harsh environment. It's not so transplanting them. It doesn't help. Like putting them in the
in their
less harsher
natural environment.
No, That's
Yeah,
not.
that-
No,
that's
no.
what it is.
That's not their natural environment. There's no such thing as natural environment.
Well, there
You
is, because that's why
conform
we've got
to your
different.
natural environment.
That's why we've got different skin
No,
colours.
no, no, no. Again, it's a less harsh environment. That's all it is. So the evolutionary pressures were such that it was less then. That's why their evolution was slower. That's all.
Yeah, and they're like different, right? And
No,
so,
but
like,
yeah, so what?
you
So
know, and,
so
like, the benefit, like, there's no benefit in, like, you know, removing all of your
Yeah, it
fucking
is.
people, like,
Obviously,
being
you need-
replaced with them.
you need. It's obvious. It's obvious. It helps to spread out. There's no benefit in concentrating low skilled labor in one area and high skilled labor in another. It's stupid.
Yeah, but we've already got, in example in Britain, we've already got enough people to do the low skilled labour.
No, you don't.
What we do, but our jobs
And even
takes preference to
there's
foreign.
there's no limit to comparative advantage.
Yeah,
It,
but
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do have dumb people in your population that can clean toilets, right? The fact that they could still be doing something else, they still would have a comparative advantage. No matter who you add to the population, what race they are, it doesn't matter. It
Yeah, well,
benefits
couldn't these-
everyone.
And there's no
Couldn't
disadvantages
the
whatsoever
same-
they bring with them.
Couldn't the same, you know, argument be made then that you just should produce a bunch more children so they can grow up and, like, you know, there's
No.
more of you, so
No.
that, like, you
Well,
don't have, like, crime,
No,
like, more
because
crime and,
no,
like,
faggot, no.
low IQ
Obviously,
people, and
unless
people
unless
that
you're
don't
talking
share
about
your culture or share your
unless you're
religion.
talking about genetic engineering, maybe in an artificial womb, the gestation period makes you unproductive. That's not necessarily well. And
Because women are
right?
very productive.
The market has natural limiters on population. There's natural limiters on population.
So the reason the third world is a shithouse is because there's not enough diversity.
Well, if it truly is a shit, look, no, they're black.
I mean, they're
that's
having lots of children, right?
No, well, number one, it's probably because of government. Number two, because they're black. And they,
Because of government. So there's things that can offset this, is what you're saying. This positive
there are larger
effect
factors.
you're talking about.
There are larger factors in their failure.
I mean, there's like this positive effect of
And
like
their
all this diversity, right? And there's like negative effects, and like you might get a net negative or a net positive. Is that what you're saying?
Look, their lack of diversity hurts them, but not to the extent. Like, so they'd be better off. All I can fairly say is that they'd be better off if they had more diversity, right? And that holds for all races.
You're a faggot. Anyway, moving on.
Like I know,
Let's see.
I know. I
Yeah. So,
You ban him. Oh, you fucking.
No, I
you want a job at Google?
I didn't ban him. He's still here. He's free to speak.
Oh.
All right. So, what were we talking? Oh, we were going to talk about North Korea.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wish Hillary got elected
Thank
because
God.
she'd head over there with a reset button and that'd fix everything.
thank God Trump's an accelerationist, at least in this aspect of government. See Bitcoin through this?
How do you mean that?
Bitcoin and gold. The fact that war is the best accelerating mechanism of
And
all.
you think, and what policies has he done to like promote war?
Well, he's probably tweeting about this shit.
He sent a tweet. Okay.
Did he?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, but considering North Korea has been a constant war footing with the United States and South Korea for the better part of 60 years, how's Donald Trump wanting to solve this? How it's like that argument about, Donald's causing terrorism by sending tweets. It's like, sorry, but 600 and odd AD, the Muslims have been doing this. And likewise, for the last 60 years, North Korea's been doing this. So it's been
The funniest part about this is the fucking
greatest
left believes he's in cahoots with Putin, right? The Russians, right?
The
So
greatest
if
terrorist in
we have a
history.
war with North Korea, then you got Russians on our side, right? Because they're working with fucking Trump. So there's no way they can win. Like we've got them beat.
Well, the
US.
argument that they, the idea that him saying to North Korea that like if you keep threatening us, we're going to bring hellfire like you haven't seen. The idea that this is somehow warmongering on his part is kind of ridiculous because he's literally just responding back to North Korea with the kind of stuff that they throw at us.
Oh,
and
bullshit.
to see what happens.
Yeah, but who has the fucking power to enact? Like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if this little skinny faggot is trying to beat you up? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, so
maybe he'll
like for
shut up.
example, if you were trying to fight me in real life, like I wouldn't care.
Do they have ICBM technology? Who are they
They
afraid
do
of
now.
attacking? China?
They do now.
Do you know
They
how
do
far they
now.
can actually reach their missiles, KK? Have you actually looked at the chart of how far they can actually range?
They
Can you
said that
change-
they've
can you change
miniaturized
something?
nuclear weapons that can be fit on a missile that can reach to California.
That can reach
They don't-
accurately to California.
Yeah, but the thing is, they don't even need. This is what everyone's missing. They don't even need missiles of like intercontinental ballistic range. The plan is they'll send a freighter out with Chinese markings on in New York Harbor or off coast of
Yeah.
California, and have a short range missile on that. That's all they need to do, and it don't even have to be a full
Okay,
nuclear war.
that's
Again.
probably an easy thing to do, right?
Well, yeah, because that's how you do it if you were a
First
third.
you're gonna smuggle.
But that's easy enough to do, though. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
So easy enough.
Okay, do you believe that Kim Jong Un, like when he says he's going to nuke the fucking US, do you believe that's going to be the case? Do you believe he's going to do that?
I believe he wants to do that. Probably. I
Do you
don't know
believe him? Do you believe he says he's going to fucking destroy the US? Do you believe that?
that he's actually.
Or do you
gonna
think he's
do
blowing
that?
smoke or fucking he's saber rattling for another fucking political reason?
How the fuck is?
Well,
he
why
gonna
would
be able to
fucking
do it?
Trump tweeting something be a fucking policy? Oh, I'm going to fucking rain fucking hellfire.
Because-
Like, why wouldn't that just be him fucking like saber rattling?
Because he can actually affect this policy.
Because he can affect the policy. Okay, well, like Kim Jong Un can affect the policy because he's got the actual weapon now, right? So
Does
that
it?
means what everything he says is absolutely true.
I didn't understand that. Anyways, he doesn't have.
Yeah, I know you don't
He doesn't
understand
have
it
the
because
means-
fucking like when you get in a fight and you fucking square up with a fucking dude, right? Like the last thing you want to do is actually fucking fight because you probably get injured even if you win, right? So it's like animals when they fight over mates. They're like doing this fucking like showboating fucking crap. Sometimes they're all fight. Most of the time it's not, and fucking
Guess what?
someone
You
will
can-
just
you
give
can
up
only-
and fucking
in a
run away.
In a repeated game, faggot, you can only do that for so long before you have to act, and you don't lose credibility.
Well, they've been doing it for 60 years.
And time's drawing short as well, in a sense, because up till this point, it's just been threats and posturing. Now they've actually got nuclear weapons.
I don't care. I really don't care.
Mutually assured destruction's been going on for how long?
Even saber rattling accelerates the collapse of government because it
Yeah, but
creates
says who?
uncertainty in the financial industry.
There's a difference between a nation seeking nuclear weapons and saying to other nations, look, we'll never intend to use these unless it's like,
Well, Rick-
some nasty threat. North Korea has explicitly stated, we're getting these nuclear weapons so we can take over the...
Doesn't matter. It's
He's
their,
saying-
That's a declaration of war.
it's their statement times their ability to affect that statement that matters.
But they now have the ability to affect that statement, though. It's not
Yeah,
like...
using one
What's
standard
that?
for Trump, one standard for them.
What are they threatening? South Korea or China? Asia?
To
They're not
blow up
threatening white nations.
to
aren't
blow
they?
up LA.
Doesn't matter. America's going to get involved. Who? They fucking.
Okay,
If they
their
nuke
ability-
Japan,
their ability to
America would get
multiply
involved.
Is virtually nil. So
How do you know that?
What happens
That's
when
not
you
what they
multiply?
say.
What happens when you multiply that magnitude times nil?
How do you know that their stuff is so backwards when that's not what they claim?
Especially this
I'm
guy.
going with Western intelligence here, so. I think that's
Well, you're
good.
going with Western propaganda, probably.
Oh, propaganda. Okay.
Well, I mean, they claim that they have missiles that can fucking
Okay, then
reach.
you'd rather believe North Korean propaganda. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I'm just saying, how do you know? You're saying that they don't have any ability to do it. I mean, they might.
The fact that they've been sheltered, as far as their intellectual thingy.
Yeah, but they're smart. They've
Thing,
been able to
okay,
do this
thingy.
since like
China-
the 70s, right?
China would have probably given them the weapons or the technology or the blueprints to do this. So it's not... And remember, they've been quietly keeping them going for the last 60 years.
Well, the nuclear reactor they built was under was under the U.S. supervision as part of a deal in the past.
Yeah, that genius deal.
So their actually ability to get the fissionable material, and like, yeah, they have been backwards, right? Now they have the capability that we had in the 70s, essentially.
But remember, though, it only took...
No,
It only took a bomber and a fat man and little boy in 1945 to blow up
the
Hiroshima.
fact that technology in the '70s is not relevant today, as far as delivering a nuclear payload, when you have modern air defense, like in the Western nations. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, but that's why
So-
low tech. This is why low tech's even worse than high tech, because if
Yeah,
an
shut the
intercontinental, no, seriously, because if an intercontinental ballistic missiles come in, You can shoot it down. But when you've got a container ship off the coast of like Hudson Bay or California, and that's
yeah, it's a little easier to protect against low tech.
no, this was it's a lot harder to defend against low tech. That's why we have like the Truck of Peace and like the Vest of Love happening in Manchester and places. You know, it's a lot. If you've got a suicide vest on, there's no defense system to knock that out of the sky, is there? I mean,
Yeah, I
look
mean,
at the knives
You're,
used on
you're,
9/11.
you're assuming they're able
You know
to
what I mean?
smuggle the whole thing in the first place.
Well, they
Right.
But it's
smuggle.
well within the realms of possibility, though. This is what I'm saying. It's not. I mean, all right, I could be.
First off,
completely-
you have to get the stuff. So okay, so if
But
North
they've already
Korea's
got
behind
it,
it,
though. They've already
Go.
claimed they've got the bombs. They reckon they've got 3 or 7, depending on how you count the figures. Western intelligence has said time and time and again they're gonna go for low tech.
And number two, let's play the game out. I mean, there's going to be self-interest in this whole nation, right? There's going to be interest in there that realize that setting off a dirty bomb will entail retaliation, right? I don't think
Yeah.
they want that.
That's why I think Trump's threatening them was great, because they're full of shit. They're not really gonna fucking shoot a missile at us.
But to be fair, Rick, like if it was easier just to smuggle shit out, then fucking the US would probably just do that instead of like firing fucking missiles. You know, it's cheaper and easier. It's like there was a Star Trek episode where fucking a photon torpedo onto another ship and fucking set it off remotely. You know, like they beam it through because the shields were down. And you think, well, okay, why don't they always fucking do that? Like as soon as the shields go down or you knock down one sector of their shields, beam a fucking missile onto their ship and explode the fucking thing.
Because it won't
They,
make
you know, it's like. Yeah, exactly. It would make for good TV, but like in reality,
Probably has to do
you know,
with
warfare
payload.
is.
See, this is why Iron Man should
How
be
much of a
in charge.
payload can you actually smuggle through conventional means like that? Probably
Container
just
ship.
destroy a small part of the city.
I'd have to look how big a North Korean container. But again, I'd say it wouldn't be a Chinese one. It'd be a Chinese or a North Korean cargo hauler. You know, like it could be a mile long. You know, like the oil tankers.
And number two, you want to strategically attack nuclear sites first.
No, we're not even
No
saying that we want to
population
attack.
centers North Korea would go for.
You don't want the retaliation. And how are you gonna fucking do that low tech way? Fuck that! You're not gonna be able to.
We're not arguing. We're not arguing for war. We're arguing for calling them out on their shit.
This Irish faggot.
Well, I've got a bit of Irish genetics, but
I'm
I'm
just
not,
joking.
I'm
You're, you're British or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
top of the morning to you there.
yeah. I'm just fucking around with you. I'm trying to insult you by calling you Irish because that's insulting.
Not really, because I've got some Irish genetics, so I'm cool with that. We're mystery meat on the island.
Oh,
you can't-
now it's acceptable. Now that you're fighting against the blacks, imagine if aliens came here and shit. Probably side with the blacks, right? Wasn't
Not
there
if we could
discrimination
side with
against
the
the Irish
aliens.
before?
I'd just beam a nuke onto their ship and set it off.
Rightly
You know,
so.
so aliens would be fucked.
So all of a sudden, why all of a sudden that you guys, all you white people that aren't Irish, all of a sudden accept them?
Because we're fucking awesome. That's why.
Didn't they have a higher crime rate than the rest of the white population? Weren't they less economically advanced? Didn't they have lower IQ?
In Celtic world, yeah, because, well, it depends where you are. In European Celtic culture, we're quite advanced. Ireland...
Aren't they prone to fighting and assault when they're
Well,
drunk?
yeah, but it's the clan structure. But again, that's part of the legal system. There's argument. Example, you've got Brehon law, which is how the Celtic world operated, which is a bit different than Anglo-Saxon law. And unfortunately, as time went on, Anglo-Saxon law prevailed. However, Celtic law, though, does guarantee more rights for the individual. So, example, their kings were merely a part of the background. They were like an advanced form of a judge. In the Anglo-Saxon world, it's like the divine right to rule.
Yeah, but like common law, it's something that we all developed, and it's not really that big of a deal. But yeah, I mean, you know, when you're sitting there on an island and all you've known is them damn Irish across the aisles, and then you go out and sail the world and then realize that there's a bunch of, you know, savage niggers and shit. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
it's
So
like,
again,
never
what
mind.
happens when you realize there's aliens?
We'll team up with the aliens to kill all the niggers
Touche. Okay.
because you can trade with aliens.
Yeah,
We could say-
until you can show that there's no trading with blacks isn't an option. You lose.
I've got a brilliant idea regarding space trade with aliens. What if we actually sold them niggers? What if we took
Yeah,
slavery
yeah,
to
let's
3.0
How do you know
space plane?
they don't have their own niggers, which are dumber than niggers?
But we buy them instead and get them to do menial tasks.
Space niggers.
We'll become
I've got
the
myself a
new.
house space nigger.
We'll become their niggers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
That'll be
so
good.
arbitrary, right? You got to realize what you're really actually fighting for. Once you crush the threshold of trade, everything changes.
Yeah.
So when you,
Okay.
as long as you can trade with aliens, they become a benefit to each other. It becomes a win-win situation of existence. There's no need, unless there's some
Like
weird
American
circumstance of rivalry, like some instance of either you or me, or it can't be.
Yeah, it's almost like when people aren't threatened, right? Like
Now,
their
if
their
also
existence
if
isn't
you could
threatened,
prove that
then they like
black
trade,
people
right?
tend to be criminals, right?
So
Like, I mean, the vast majority of them are murderers.
hey, listen.
Maybe
It's kind of
one
like
case.
it's kind of like you trade with people when like you know that your stuff isn't going to be taken away, right?
No,
you know-
faggot. The price
When you know
level,
you're not going to lose.
the price level adjusts for that. So if you have less trust in trading with a guy, they lose out by having to sell their goods for less.
Yeah, but like when you can't have a win-win, then
accounted
there's no
for
trade,
in
right?
Price.
When you can't have a win-win, there's no trade, right?
What's that? You can't have a win-win when there's no trade.
When you can't have the opposite. You can't really trade with people when there's no win-win scenario.
No, the fact that you can't trade
or
necessarily makes it a win-win scenario.
if the trade means that you're going to lose your assets. right?
What? What kind of trade is that?
A trade where like your people
You
get
have-
bred out.
What?
A trade where your people get bred out of existence.
They get bread. I thought they're taking bread out. They get
Well,
bread
that's
out.
the scenario you constantly give.
Look, again, it's not a proportional game. It's not a relative extinction game.
It is though.
For us, it's
So it's almost like we're all open for trade, right? We just don't want, we don't want it to mean like
And
the
I
destruction
contend,
of what we have, right?
I contend they're still going more. They're still probably going more extinct quickly than you. That's evidence from the larger factor of IQ determining their evolutionary survivability.
so. Why is Africa's birth rate up 40% then?
Well,
Maybe to compensate.
because we feed them.
It's
So
my
we pulled the rug out.
parasitic theory. It's called it's the parasitic theory. The fact that you have a disadvantageous trait latch on to an advantageous trait. That's why
Well-
you see, that's why you see smarter people. They tend to usually have bad eyesight,
We feed them at a loss.
or you see the most poisonous snakes are the slowest ones. That's my parasitic theory. Thank you. No,
Is
it
that
makes
actually-
sense, all right?
You're such a faggot, dude.
Yeah, what are you saying thank you for when no one said anything? And every time you say faggot to someone and call someone a faggot, they're rubber and you're glue because you like chicks with dicks.
I proved my point, right? So Kelt was trying to bring up the argument of why I'm gay, right? And remember, I brought up the argument that you guys are in an echo chamber, both in your racial arguments and that faggot argument.
This is another rubber
Yeah,
glue
except for
situation
you're-
because you're a one-man echo chamber, right? No,
I
you listen to
claim-
yourself.
I claim
You
in
don't
any
know
other
information
room,
can penetrate. You're a one-man echo chamber, and it's fucking amazing that you call us that.
in any other room, right? In any other room that you have.
The fact that we let you talk means we're not a fucking echo chamber.
I should have half the time though. I'm only getting proportional amount of time.
You're
Uh,
fucking
You're using
retarded.
fucking like 80% of the time. You don't even know it because you're a one-man echo chamber.
Well, it seems like that. I think. I think you're delusional. But look, I think I have more like. I have an overrepresented time, right? I have overrepresented time relative to my population. Like I don't have 16%. I probably have like 30% of the time at the moment.
You've got overrepresented faggotry. That's what you got.
Now
But
you
like,
actually,
yeah.
you
So, anyways,
actually-
I brought up the argument in the debate coliseum of what's a faggot, and none of them agreed to that. Liking anime chicks with dicks as being a faggot, right?
yeah, they're
Then
all
we started
faggots.
talking about like pegging, right? Pegging, liking to be pegged
No, everyone knows if you like chicks with dicks, you're a faggot.
is probably more.
Everyone,
Like I didn't even say necessarily I like being pegged.
Pegging means to peg.
everybody in the
didn't say I
debate
like being
coliseum
pegged.
is a faggot.
So I mean, even pegging is is ambiguous. Not as ambiguous as liking anime chicks with dicks or admitting sucking off one. See, I never said I like to be penetrated. Although I have a lot of pleasure receptors in my anus. So
Can I ask you a question, Kate? Do you not get the feeling that this mythical debate coliseum? Do you not think that could be an echo chamber?
no, well, yeah, but of course, there's no reason to believe they have
Yeah.
they have an emotional bias to try to believe that
But they're all faggots.
being a faggot.
Aren't they like mostly trannies and fags?
Yeah, but again, they don't all like. Number one, we're not. They don't all like anime chicks and dicks. There was one in there, but it's not. That's not relevant. That's not a relevant argument.
It's complicated.
If I went into an anime chat room, yeah, you'd have a case. But since I went into maybe the left leaning communists, atheists, whatever, they're not anime loving, futa loving, whatever. And again, it's only a side fetish, right? I don't prefer it. I don't prefer futanari. I just like it to mix it up a little.
Traps are
Yeah,
gay,
this
KK.
kind of guy.
Jesus
And
Christ,
you know,
the law of diminishing marginal utility.
you want to know why
South
niggers are
Park,
gay, KK? Because in their music they talk about trap money and how they're trapping and being traps, and that's why we can't trade with them
Can't trade with a faggot.
because they're faggots.
Alan Turing was a faggot.
Fuck Alan Turing.
Computer science coming out of that?
No, but do you know that Trump also said he's considering military actions in Venezuela if Maduro, continues to seize power?
What is that guy threatening? Oh,
Who fucking rah? That's awesome. Free the people of Venezuela. Yeah.
It's more complicated than that though, because I do worry that if the U.S. gets involved, then the commies are going to all go, oh, see, it was the U.S. The U.S. took over. It was all some U.S. ruse to make it so that Venezuela would fall economically, and then we'll take it over, us evil imperial. I think it'd be better to let them resort to cannibalism and dictatorship and collapse on their own. But evidently Trump doesn't necessarily think that. He's saying, like, you're not going to become, dear leader of Venezuela and, be
good.
the one-man rule.
Like he wouldn't be saying that otherwise if he didn't have access to taxpayer funds, spending it on expensive military actions.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's a good move.
This is the guy you guys are advocating for?
Some of his policies.
Where is that? I'm waiting for the audit of the Fed to happen. Where's that coming? When's that coming?
Give him time. We're not even a year in yet.
It seems like he's
there's a
used to
bill.
talk shit about Wall Street. Oh, we're in a bubble. Now he's fucking bragging about fucking the jobs numbers in the stock market.
Yeah,
because normal politics, KK, takes a bit longer. It's not as exciting as the audience thinks. It doesn't happen overnight. Things take time. Remember, 100 days in, and
what are you talking about
Trump.
He's being hypocritical. He's flip-flopping. What are you talking about?
Not really. Not on all of it. Not
on what?
Anyway.
Embracing the economy when it didn't, making fun of it, saying it was a bubble when he wasn't president. Now that he's president and now that he can take credit for some of it, he's embracing the success of the stock market.
Well, of course, he's an egoist.
But he's not logically consistent.
Yeah, but you couldn't have predicted that he's going to do that.
No, I thought you guys were. I thought he was like some type of intellectually honest guy. So if he's not intellectually honest, what makes you think he's not going to flip flop on auditing the Fed or building a wall?
He banned traps from the military, and that's fucking good enough for me.
He what?
Yeah.
If he what? The military?
He banned traps from the military.
Those things you like.
What's your problem with traps in the military?
Because of the cost-benefit analysis. Because every barracks then and every base would have to have a third gender bathroom.
No, but you don't understand, Rick. Like, diversity is always good.
It's a strength. We should... Yeah.
So if the bathrooms are a problem, why don't you advocate to abolish those?
Because where do you go for it?
Instead of fucking banning traps. Like you're fighting the...
Because it'd be easier just to
because traps won't be decent and at least have a piss in a urinal if it's got a cock.
Well, we can't
They
trade
think
with
that-
traps.
I mean, there's plenty
So-
of gay dudes that served when they didn't even saying traps though. Right?
We can't trade with traps, so we have to. It's a win-lose. We have to get rid of them.
So why
And
can't
what
you have them as a separate branch of the military? Aren't females
The
separate from-
traps corps.
Yeah,
The
just
military-
call it
well,
female or whatever.
The
Jesus
military
Operation
is already
Human
forced to
Shield.
pay for all the hormone therapy and all the treatment. And Trump's thinking, right, we've already got a military that's chronically underfunded. When there's General Mad Dog Mathis even said, he said at the moment, he says everything's at deployment level. We've got nothing in reserve. So why would Trump bite into more funds that aren't there to provide services like hormone therapy for some fucking
I think
faggot?
KK is onto something. Like, we have all these tanks, right? And like Russian tanks are getting pretty advanced. I think we could use, some extra armor. We could like tie them to the tanks, to add some armor to it. Have them lay down on top of the tank and then hold a big piece of metal on top of them, and then
Or get them
armor.
run through minefields or something.
Yeah, like give them hand grenades and just tell them the enemy's that way, lads.
Or girls.
Charge. Well, they'd be
Take
trapped.
this hand grenade and I'll hang onto the pin, and you take it over there to the enemy.
Yeah.
But ultimately, my problem with all your reasoning is you guys never calculate the cost associated with it.
No, well, hang on. Germany's putting like urinals in women's toilets, right, at the moment. Is that cost effective, just in case a trap walks in?
So what
Is
do you
that-
do about it? So what do you advocate for?
Don't do it.
Okay, fine. I'm with that as a non-accelerationist. If
See,
I'm
you
not-
switch from being an accelerationist and advocating bad policy because you're an accelerationist to advocating logical good policy.
well, it's not really logical when you take into account reaching optimal state, right? Well, I don't want to get into that, but yeah. Anyways, that analogy doesn't apply to any of the arguments we've just made so far.
Hey, I'll tell you what does apply. Godwin's law says that like the longer you argue on the internet, the more chance that someone being accused of being Hitler will, approach one. Like the probability of approach one. Well, if the longer you talk to KK, the more like the probability of the conversation turning to his love of chicks with dicks will approach one. So that's Iron Man's law.
You can say
Always.
that about any claim or any accusation.
So the last bit of news that I have is some neat news, nigga, neat news. The world's first try before you buy sex doll was unveiled in England. It cost £3,000 and stands at a wonderful 5 foot 4 inches tall. So essentially, you'll be able to fuck this doll before you buy it, which to normal, decent, well-adjusted, tax-paying individuals is disgusting. But to a neat, it's wonderful because he saved up his pennies that he found under his mother's sofa for a long time for £3,000, and he wants to make sure that it's a real nice one before he buys it.
3,000 quid for a sex doll, and I can get
Yes.
first dibs on it because I'm in Britannia. Awesome.
It has auto heating, and I believe. Hold on, I'd have to. I didn't. It's probably one of the ones with the AI, so it can talk to you.
Cool.
Anyway, that concludes neat news. Neat news.
Question is though, can it join in a podcast though? That's the question.
Hello, my name is Martha.
What does NEAT stand for? No education, employment,
Or training.
or training.
So you can be a NEAT and be in your 30s. You don't have to be a youngster. Neatdom is something that grievously affects us all. So
Yeah, KK, it's become a meme. Right.
Oh, okay.
Of,
Yeah, no,
of
I
the neat.
was almost aware of it in an anime.
Okay. So yeah, that concludes
Oh.
Neat News, which has been a recurring thing where we talk about sex doll news, and there's a surprising amount of sex doll news.
I'm surprised it was made in Britain though. I thought like people over here just drunk tea and wore bowler hats and got.
Well, it's sold there at least. It was unveiled, like it's a new.
Ooh.
thing they're selling. England has been at the center of this news for some reason. Seems like every time I look up like sex doll news, it's UK man arrested, or UK unveils new.
I wonder if that's where the Britcast chaps at tonight. Explain their absence.
They all went and picked one up.
Yeah. First dibs on the.
I just love, like, I'm just waiting for more lefty articles, because I know they're going to be complaining that, like, none of them are overweight women of color. They're all like, Nordic looking, or
there's no
Asiatic.
trannies.
Yeah, they're gonna. This is terrible. This is objectification.
You're not making a tranny sex robot. Oh my god!
Why aren't these 800 pounds? These sex dolls are setting unrealistic beauty standards.
Then again, though, you would get weirdos out there who'd fucking actually fuck a fat sex doll, though. I mean, there's people. One chap I spoke to, he came over
for
to
3,000 pounds.
Yeah, a plasterer said to me, he said, "Yeah, I've got some dogs in my time, and not fucking barking dogs." He was referring to women. So I'm pretty certain there's some fucking people out there with fetishes. The BBW types, the big beautiful ladies.
Yeah, but we can't trade with them, so we're gonna have to call them.
So no trading with traps, with people who sell and buy sex dolls, and no trading with black. Right. So.
Yeah.
Hey Alex, how tall did you say these sex dolls were? Like, you gave a height there. I just want to make sure they're not underage.
5'4".
Is that like 5'4"? That sounds a bit young to me.
Yeah.
What happened to your 6 foot fucking sex robots? What happened to them?
Yeah. Why didn't you get the 7 foot tall Shackbot?
Yeah. I like me Amazon looking women.
Why doesn't this one look like I wonder if they would arrest a Muslim for that, for having an underage sex doll. Probably not.
Well, with what's going on in the UK at the minute, I mean, fucking hell, it's encouraged in half of the city places.
Yeah.
Are we all right?
A Muslim would be able to claim it's part of his ancient religion to have like these sex dolls, and like you could get away with it. It's okay now.
Yeah, I don't know whether the audience is aware of this or not, but in the last few days in Britain, there's been the big fucking hoo-ha about a pedophile ring's been uncovered in Newcastle, of all places. And the weird thing is about this is it's nuts. The way they got the conviction were the actual police force had paid one of the Muslim paedophiles. They paid him 10,000 English pounds to what do you call it now? Squeal on his friends. And the thing is, it's not like it were one of these like deep cover agents who were like, I'm a good guy, but I'm just going to infiltrate the ring. It were actually a convicted paedophile who'd had sex with a 14-year-old and stuff. So the best thing, now this is the weird thing about the story. There's no decent people who could have just revealed this. No, they had to get one of their own one of their own to do this and then pay him 10,000 quid. But that's the distraction though, because everyone in Britain were really pissed off saying, the police are like bribing paedophiles to grass on people. And they were hoping that would be the big distraction. But again, it turns out that, lo and behold, they're fucking Muslims. They're dirty, filthy kebabs. And this particular one has really pissed everyone off because the actual guy in court, when they'd gone back through previous statements he'd made, and a statement he'd made to a woman previously were, white women are there so I can fuck them, and then they're trash. So literally, and then the thing is, this actually got read out on mainstream news because it were released in court and they couldn't keep it quiet. So apparently, like, the more edgy journalists would say, Pakistani grooming gang has said, like, F all white women and treat them as trash. While other news agencies have bent over backwards to make out that, no, this is one of the actual local councillor, the council leader of Newcastle, actually turned around and said, this isn't a Muslim problem. And then it was like, so whose fault is this? And he says, well, if these girls weren't drinking and on drugs, they wouldn't be took advantage of. Blaming the fucking white girl for what's happened. That's unfucking believable. And that's the local council leader of fucking Newcastle.
And I'm sure there's like feminists like, wanting to hang him, right? I'm sure there's like a bunch of feminists protesting that they would blame like, these girls, right?
I mean, this is the thing. If you go onto actual message boards and stuff, like British politics boards and things, and look at some of the comments, and admittedly, there's always going to be the cook out there saying like, "Oh, they're not all the same," but it's a bit difficult, like say, to actually argue the case that, especially when it's from the horse's mouth. It's not like we've said, "Oh, this is something the Quran encourages," even though that's fine. It turns out, oh no, in court, this was actually said as a witness statement. So it's like, oh, it's straight from the horse's mouth, like, and they've even said like, the amount of Pakistani people actually doing this is unnerving. You know what I mean? It's not just like you know, obviously there's white rapists out there and child abusers, but they said it's not like a cultural thing amongst whites.
Well,
you know what I mean? But other cultures encourage that, though.
It's something that you would expect if you brought in like Bushmen from fucking, you know, the hellholes over there, right? Like if you bring in fucking you know, actual Bushmen, right? They're gonna start raping kids. Like in their culture, it's whatever. And like Pakistan is full of fucking pedophiles and pedophilia and inbreeding and all kinds of other shit.
Like ABOs, Australian ABOs, like thing came out about how their incest rates and fucking child abuse and all that kind of shit is so fucking high. Doesn't, you know, that's like a dog bites man kind of story around here, but interesting. I should link it so you can read that.
But, you know, so when you bring in these people that do this, right, what are they going to do when they come to London? Oh, I'm sure they're, or, you know, just England in general. Like, oh, I'm sure they're going to leave all that in the past because it's not culturally acceptable here and they wouldn't want to be rude and unpleasant. It's like, no, they're going to do the same thing they did in their other country. And, you know, in their other country, it happens so much and they're fucking poor and shithole and it's not culturally frowned upon enough. So, like, it just happens there, right? It's just a matter of life.
I mean, if you sort of look through the statistics, I mean, I've not got it to hand right now. I'll have to read it on the Britcast, but there was the actual English Defence League's official response to it. And you read the title and you think, oh, it's going to like be trying politically be as correct as it can be. It actually doesn't spare any punches and it even concludes on the point. It says, Boko Haram have abducted girls in Nigeria and raped them and said this is part of the way it is. It said other like ISIS, like what they did to the Yazidi people, were completely grim. You know what I mean? It even explicitly states like with them people you can do what you want with them. It says why is it that this happens around the world like there's part of the religious rape epidemic, yet England is somehow different. And it says no, it squarely fits into the game. In other words, all continents now are subject to this. Wherever Islam is, and I'm sure in America, I'm sure this is happening there as well. But it'll be covered up, or it'll be like, you know, in some major urban centre where like the Democrats.
Well, we don't have as many of them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as well. I mean, imagine in your place as well. I mean, this is another point the article made, and this links in. In the United States, the political correctness isn't as bad. So let's say this were in Tennessee. There's no way the state representatives or the governor or anything would put up with this shit. And yet in England, it said it was funny because the rapists and criminals never paid a penny to the councillor or to the MPs. And in a sense, it's the fact that it was political correctness was the thing that stopped this. In other words, it's not like, oh, the MP were bribed to cover up for Muslims. It's the fact that, oh, there's this like invisible presence of political correctness that I have to obey. It's like the invisible God almost in the room.
Can you imagine being that big of a pussy?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, I just like I can't fathom being that big of a little bitch. That.
Because it is staggering. Because, like you're saying, if someone's taking a bribe to cover up for a crime, that's one thing. But all these MPs and council leaders who blame white girls for this. I mean, look at Joe Cox, the traitor who got stabbed and got physically removed by that Thomas More chap. It turns out one of the first things she did when Rotherham happened was to immediately turn around, say the Muslim community does no wrong, but all that, why are these girls drinking and doing drugs? The exact same argument again. Whenever there's like a Muslim rape gang doing something, the lefty MPs of the area, like Joe Cox did, and like this council leader in Newcastle, does the same thing. They don't blame the ethnic group that started this. They blame the girls who were the victims, and that's
it's fucking ridiculous. It's like you know. I mean, sure, the guy raped the little girl or whatever, right? But like, why was she trying to get candy? You know, why was she getting in the van with? It's fucking
Asking for it.
Yeah, it's like, yes, I agree that those are behaviors you should warn people not to do, right? Like, don't hang out with Muslims, don't do drugs, don't. But like, yeah, when when you catch somebody terrible, but to use that as like an excuse, right, to try to mitigate the crime that's been committed is an astonishing act of cowardice. And I like I said, I don't understand how you could be that much of a fucking pussy.
There's the odd, for instance, like in Rotherham, wasn't it Rochdale, where that happened. One of the people who said in court, they came out with a phrase similar, saying like, "Well, they're only white girls anyway," and the judge were really appalled at that because it's a public hearing. The judge can't publicly cuck out, so even if he is politically correct, he has to, blatantly call it out for what it is. So a lot of judges, when these cases do come up, are sort of like, I imagine, like on a wavelength about it. But you've got, like you say, the Metropolitan Police Forces. They're you know what I mean? They don't judge people, the police. But likewise, they're the most politically correct aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like in Rotherham, where that guy kicked that door down. So he broke and entered, but his daughter was being raped. And then the police, rather than arrest the rapist, went, "No, you've entered and broken in, so we're going to arrest you now." So
it's sort of up to the. I mean, it's become up to the English people. But what's fucked up is that you need low level, like, I don't know. I guess here would be sheriffs or commissioners or whatever. Like, they need to do something about it, right? Because what's the punishment when you capture one of these guys? What are they really going to do? Your job is to protect the English people, not the fucking placate to the left's sensibilities about what worldview they want.
I mean, admittedly, there's the odd judge who does pull that one off. But like you said, it's mainly what it is. I mean, example, it's like the paedophile grooming scandals. There'll be low-level police people who are decent, who try and, or especially investigators, or like, what is it now? Yeah, like not just Bobby's on the beat, who like just follow orders. Like someone will be investigating this, and they'll try and get it as high up on the command. And there's always a middleman. There's always, example, it's like Cressida Dick in London. The body in the London Metropolitan Police were trying to bring forward cases of this. People below her had silenced them. So it like with the Jimmy Savile case, I don't know if you know about that one, the white television presenter, they were like raping kids left, right and centre, and the police knew about it, tried pushing it further up the command structure, and there's always someone above them saying, "Oh, it's all right, just leave it." So the middle management people, halfway up the command structure, is so politically correct. So
see, I understand that, but like, I mean, maybe maybe they can't do this, but like they couldn't, lower level people couldn't like do sting operations and catch them red-handed.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
More people should be putting their jobs on the line to fucking bust open these fucking things. Like, it's a thing like, I noticed this in the army, like, the things that go up the chain and they'd be less likely to take action. And, there's just times when you'd be able to take action and then say, "Sue me, bitches. See if I give a fuck." Like, because once it comes out publicly, they're not going to be able to do jack shit to you anyway, because you did exactly the right thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you'd run a sting operation, right, you tell your local police, like, "Hey, we're getting we're gonna get a woman to pose as a 14-year-old girl, and we'll get some fucking Muslims, or we'll pay some junkie chick to go talk to these Muslims until they agree to have sex with them." Then you kick the fucking door in and arrest them all, right? You've got them red-handed. Like, are the higher ups gonna then fire you and like let the guy go? And like, no, like, you can press charges and
Well, what it was in Britain specifically, as I was reading up about this, apparently, because people were saying, what's the correlation between why all of a sudden these rape gangs are getting off scot-free? They apparently charted it back to the 7/7 bombing that happened in London. And they were saying straight after that happened, they said, "Oh, any talk of Muslims or Pakistanis in the community in a negative light will make political correctness not work." Like the big myth that's in front of us. So it weren't just, downplay Muslim activity. It was like, "Oh, they're doing raping, don't talk about it." And like Rotherham went one stage further. Rather than not talk about it, they were actually involved in it. Like I say, members of their actual police force were involved in it. Members of their actual local council were doing shit.
Yeah.
You know,
And you see what happened to like this Google guy, right? Like fucking probably didn't plan to end his career, but he's like he can't do that job anymore, and maybe he's got to take some lesser position. But people are offering him stuff because he's done the right said the right thing, right, and got canned inappropriately, right? Or at least they believe that. So like can you imagine fucking like, I mean, if you're a cop, you should plan on ending your career over something like this. I fucking would. I'd fucking like go, well, fuck this shit. I'm out. I don't want to fucking be part of this organization anyway. There's all these people like, worried about pensions and all this other bullshit. I mean, that's another problem with pensions, like and fucking and all that sort of crap. Now, keep these people locked in.
It's like that with teaching as well. Because, like, I mean, luckily, like, my family members now who were teachers have retired. And they made a valid point. They said they can't retrospectively get rid of a pension because I'm a racist now. You know what I mean? Or I have certain thought processes that when I had a pension scheme and we're working towards. So you could be on the last day of your pension scheme with them. If you make a racist comment in the workplace, they could pull the whole lot. I mean, again, this particular story, like this Rotherham rape gang stuff and all this, like, Newcastle stuff, I want to become a cop, to be honest with you. I want to actually fucking, like Iron Man and you lot said, like, make that tough decision, fucking, because I'd call it out. I wouldn't, if my superior said, right, Rick, we're not allowed to do this, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm walking down there and dealing with it.
I mean, I wouldn't say, if I was a local guy, I wouldn't say anything about Muslims, right? I'd go, we're going to go after pedophiles. That's going to be our local, focus.
Well, funnily enough, I mean, I mentioned it, I think, on another Britcast, but I was watching a video before we came on air tonight, and it's, what is it now, paedophile hunting, not glory hunting. And these guys today, they had a packy looking so ashamed because a big group of paedophile hunters found him. And what they do is, again, and I encourage the audience to do this, because a friend I know, for instance, he had a female fake account, and he just went on trolling with his female fake account, and every 5 minutes he'd have a black guy or a Muslim or something, or even Indians, constantly texting him saying, show us some tits, show us some fanny. And he couldn't believe, and he said it must be horrible for real women out there who are actually having that level of fucking harassment 24/7 off Pakis and Negroes and what have you.
There was there's like a meme about Indians and Indians on the internet, like what's her name, Julie Borowski, that annoying like libertarian girl. She put on Twitter one of her open where people can DM her, and she went through within the last day she received 370 messages from Indian guys. They're all just like.
But you know, to catch them out, though, all these Indian guys, because everyone forgets to do this when they're in a personal message with them. Say the magic number, say, I'm 13. Yeah? And if they carry on and say, oh, that's okay, I like them young, you screen cap it, and then you go to the police and say, this fucking packy is a fucking paedophile. And that's what they do with this paedophile hunting. They get someone to pretend to be a kid or a girl. Eventually, because if you say them, example, you're texting someone online, and let's say they say I'm 14, you go, oh, end contact, stop, and then you delete that profile. If they dare continue, because if you go to court and say, look, we had no idea until it got revealed, and then I ended contact, the difference with them is if they cross that line and say it doesn't matter, or oh, I like that, then you screen cap it and you go to your local fucking authorities or the FBI and you let them know.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with I mean, the ones I was saying here, they were actually from India. But, yeah, a lot of them are from England. It's countries where they'll actually be prosecuted.
Because, I mean, in England, the paedophile hunters are always catching people for doing that shit. So, obviously, it's not just restricted to people on the Indian subcontinent. You know what I mean? There's enough Pakis in England that are doing this shit.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, again, it's interesting because what they do is they do a citizen's arrest. They just, I mean, very, very few of them resist because there's like 5 guys who just fucking grab you and march you to the police station. And again, the police won't waste the time doing this themselves. No, an independent group has to fucking do their job for them.
KK,
sure.
Is this why you get good at running?
If you want to try a cool experiment, go to Julie Borowski's channel and fucking like it's from oldest to newest, like flipping around, and she looks exactly the same. She still looks 12.
Nah, dude, she doesn't look 12, man.
Yeah, probably 11. Yeah, you're right.
No, dude. She looks 18 to me. She's forever.
That's what
18.
you're gonna. Did you say that? Did you tell the judge that? She looked 18 to me.
Nah, dude. She's like, what is she, like 34? I called her out on this shit in the past because she would go like, I don't know who's funding her, but she'd go to some panel and it'd be like young people for liberty and shit. And I'm like, this bitch is 24 years old.
I
And
see.
She responded back, oh, I'm washed up and shit. I'm like, yeah, you are. Why the fuck are you considered young? You're up there talking with like 20 and 18-year-olds.
So you're sitting there like pedo bear, like too old. Too old for you, huh?
Too old to be considered young students for liberty. Yeah.
Well, maybe she identifies as young.
Do what?
Do you ever think of that? She might be like some ageist Rachel Dolezal kind of thing.
Literally what I think happened with her is what I've seen in the libertarian. The libertarian movement is like, she was Ron Paul girl, basically. She like made some videos when she was young, and then to keep it going, the Koch brothers shoot her a check, and she works for fucking Freedom Works in Washington D.C. And
so she's not just an airhead. That's why her opinions all sound like that. Okay, right, I got it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So she's basically one of the Koch brother stooges, and so yeah.
A literal basic bitch is what you're saying.
Yeah. And she married the wrong Alex, and so fuck her.
Joseph,
I loved her. Julie, god damn it. All right. So with that, I think we can conclude. Final thoughts, Iron
Man? Keep on hating niggers. Don't stop hating niggers. Like we all need to hate more niggers, and when we've hated them all, we need to hate them a little bit more.
That's good advice. There needs to be a T-shirt with that. Kinji. Final thoughts. Final thoughts. Faggot.
I can tell you what he's thinking. He's thinking about traps.
Probably so. Rick, final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Alex. I will be recording another fantastic high-energy Britcast in the next few days, hopefully.
Oh boy.
Also, my prayers go out to the Unite the Right rally. I hope everything goes off without a hitch, chaps. God bless you all and a hail fucking victory.
I'm sure it will, dude.
Yeah.
The only thing that is worrisome is their permit got pulled and Antifa was given a permit. So
that's what, like I'm saying, across the pond, there's a lot of prayers for you, chaps. I'd have been there with you, but it's an exorbitant fee just for a few days. So, and likewise, there's things like I should be going to Newcastle. Really, I should be get what I mean. I know the Unite the Right thing's really important, but like I said, should I spend £1,000 to go see you, chaps, or should I really be doing stuff proactively over here? So, yeah.
God willing, Wick. Yeah. All right, Zach. All right. And with that, stay on that 1-4-3-3 shit.